Right? Yeah, I didn't even think about it that way, but yeah, that's all just been a part of my life since I was a kid.
And that's why we bridge the gap over here. We learn about other people's stories because you never really know what people share. And everybody answers this question so differently that it's honestly rare to have like parts of the story repeat. But like, nah, it's always so unique because like nobody ever
Yeah,
grew up in the same place at the same time, really.
yeah, that's true.
So like aside of that, when do you like yourself start to like get into music as it like stops being like your parents are like or your mom's bumping it and you're like, nah, this is my fucking jam. Like what do you remember your like first jam and how old you were when you discovered that?
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I don't remember exactly why I asked for a piano, like what triggered me to do that. I had a little tiny bit of keyboard experience very early on in life. My dad got me a little keyboard I doodle with, but I was never serious about it.
Yo,
And
even
that keyboard
that's
was,
nifty. Hold up. You got a keyboard when you were super young. It put a
yeah, around
seed
the
in your
same age as
mind.
oh, yeah, yeah. So I was like, I remember I was in my sister and I shared a room when I was a kid, and I was in our room and she was listening to the radio, and U2 like Sunday Bloody Sunday was playing, which I loved that song growing up, and I still love that song. But I remember trying to like press the right keys with my like just using my ears to figure out the right key, the right notes in the right key for that song, and then all the other songs that would play. So that was like my earliest experience with that. But then you fast forward, I moved to Blaine for a little bit. I was 11. You fast forward, and mind you, I had stopped playing keyboard by the time I hit about like 9. You know what I mean? So from like 7 to 9, I
So
was playing it and
that's
stopped.
like a
But
whole other thing to add to your childhood resume. You're training
I know
yourself to play
I'm trying
keyboard
to
by
make a career
ear.
path, but it's very difficult.
Nah, this is really
Um,
cool. Like this the show. You're doing it.
Yeah. So fast forward, I'm 11, and I like for some reason really wanted a keyboard or a piano or something. So I like begged my dad for one. I don't remember why I wanted one so bad to this day, unfortunately, but I just wanted one. And so he ends up getting me this 70-year-old upright piano that hadn't been tuned once in the entire time it existed, with like slightly broken, fucked up keys and the ivory's coming off, and it just sounds like death when you play it. Like it is just nails on a chalkboard. But it was just barely not out of tune enough for me to play it and for you to understand the notes, right? For it to be coherent, just really badly out of tune. And so I ended up learning how, and I completely fell in love like instantly. Oh my God, I totally remember what made me want the piano now.
Yeah.
Okay, back up a little
Let's
bit.
run it
So
back.
we lived in Plain. My dad had a business partner that he was extremely close with and good friends with, and this guy, he was on vacation, so he wanted my older sister and me to. Oh wait, no, this was a little bit later. But we were at his place, his business partner's house, really nice house. He had a grand piano, and I sat down and I just kind of decided to play it, even though I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember recording myself playing it on this little like Nokia camera or something, and recording video of me playing piano because I was like, oh wow, I just kind of have a knack for this. Like everything I'm playing sounds really pretty. That was what I was thinking at the time, that I was just doodling on this grand piano. You know what I mean? Um, and so I started begging my dad for a piano. So then he gets me that shitty old piano. It's out of key and everything. And I didn't care. I fell in love with it, and I started. It got to the point where I was playing. I made myself play at least 6 hours a day after school. Like it was a challenge for me. And my brother was a guitarist, and we would sometimes have competitions to see who could play each other like our own instruments but longer during the week. You know what I mean? I would do six
What?
hours a day. We try to compete and stuff. Yeah, because we're both. He's in a band now. We're both hardcore musicians. Like
I'm gonna
from
say though,
the beginning all the
like
way up to now.
that is some healthy ass competition if your long term goal is music.
Yeah, for
That's
real. It's awesome.
how long did you maintain that? Like how many hours did you clock when you were young, just playing
Oh, I
piano?
remember.
Then
I remember there was a few weeks where I gotta do the math here real quick. 6, 12, anymore, but there were a few times where I did literally an average work week in just playing piano, like a 40-hour week. You know what I mean?
Shit.
Yeah, and I so like lucky that I had that experience early in life, because now that I have a full-time job with a business I partly own with my dad, I realize like how precious spare time is. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, so I ended up falling in love with piano. I ended up teaching myself how to play. I taught myself how to play Chopin. I'm not trying to brag, but like just to like go through the course of my experience in music. I mean, I literally taught myself, and a year later, I won first place in a competition, piano competition, against people that were like classically trained, and it was like bizarre. The reason I mention it is because it was so freaking like insanely bizarre to me. I didn't even think I was that good. You know what I mean? I just wanted to try, but like the point
I don't
is,
know how many people put that level of effort into practice. I mean, you'd
you,
assume, but like I feel like once you hit a certain prestige, you do not put that level in unless you're like a rare breed.
it's just all about the love. And the moral there is that, and I'm not saying don't take lessons on something or don't increase your knowledge in a field. You should always try to increase your knowledge somehow, but like if you can't afford lessons or something and you think that means you can't go and learn piano or learn how to rap or whatever the case is, if you just put enough time in, like I did, you know what I mean, you put in your 40 hours a week or whatever in that craft, even if you can't afford lessons like I could not,
Hold on.
you can still compete with people who had lessons. Like you can still compete with professionals.
I love what you're saying. And I totally get the lessons for a lot of things. Cause like at some point I did take a couple like singing lessons because I didn't know how to hear notes changing and shit.
Mhm.
But people take rap lessons? That's a thing?
Oh, oh yeah, yeah. I remember. Yeah, I mean, I never took lessons, but when I first started rapping, I remember looking up online when I was a little baby rapper, looking up how to properly rap, or how to rap faster, or how to rap with a better enunciation, clearer. Making your words clearer, or how to rhyme better, or different rhyme schemes and what they mean, ABAB or ABC. Like all the different types of rhyme schemes. I would like study it like it was like I was going to school.
That's wild. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world, but it's still a wild thought to me that that's like a whole lane that people sell professional rap lessons to people on the internet trying to
Yeah,
become rappers. Like it makes
yeah, it's
sense
wild.
when you like say it out loud and consider the internet, but it also is still like what it is. That's still cool, and I agree with you because I mean, ultimately, if you want to get good, you get good, and it's like that with everything in life, and you put the time and the effort in, and the thing I think is the most interesting about what you've said so far is like by the time you're like, a teenager, you've clocked like a professional musician's amount of experience across multiple art forms. And that's like,
Yeah,
and sometimes I emphasize that because I meet people who start like late in life, a couple years in, and they don't realize the scope of like actual practice of like people in this world and the level of talent that really is out there. Now, I'm not even trying to say I'm good or whatever. I'm saying that like when you hear stuff like that, to me, the first thing I hear is, oh shit, like she probably can bullshit better than most people in terms of whipping full package stuff out her ass because you've been doing it that long. Like if you can play the piano and you could write poetry and you could do all these different things and you had all that practice since time, like that's the kind of shit that I think is stuff that people should really look for in others because like yo, a lot of people can start and do things in a couple of years, but a lot of the younger ones, holy shit, y'all been doing it since like you were young. And that shit's crazy to me because the older ones, I don't know, it feels like everyone started at like 16 and all the young ones started at 6. And that's a
yeah, I
hugely
agree there.
interesting fact that I've encountered, not like a
No,
universal
I've
fact.
noticed the exact thing. I've noticed the same thing. I'll ask rappers that are quite a bit older than me, like when they started, and they're usually I get answers even crazier. Like I didn't start till I was 22 or 25, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like you, and I would ask them like, no experience rapping or poetry or anything before them. They're like, nah, I didn't care at all about it until 22 or 25, and it's just mind blowing to me. And it's cool too that people can go their whole life not caring about a certain craft and then all of a sudden really care. But yeah, it is interesting the difference between older people, people of a few generations, you know what I mean, before me, how they get into music compared to, yeah, my generation. It is very bizarre.